innovation in a in a silly way.
Any initial thoughts on the new cherry vanilla Coke?
It's delicious.
It's good. Yeah. How does it work? Well, it's cherry Coke and vanilla Coke together.
Two things in one?
Yeah, sure.
So then where's the other can?
All of it is in the same can, together.
What do you mean by together?
We put them together. There's two things in one.
Do you have any?
That's what you have in front of you. It's both of them together.
So good together. Try new cherry vanilla Coke.
Okay, so that's something you can try while you're not knowing what to do. If you see it at the grocery store, which you probably will, how cool is that, right? You can, but that is what we need. I think it was really funny. We have the Minotaur or whatever that I don't know all the names, but a mermaid was there, and I thought it was very, very clever that they put these human animal characters in the focus group, and they were having trouble with the idea of two things in one. Okay. Anyway, just to lighten your day, I hope you enjoy these sessions because that's the goal. The goal is just to to have some fun. Industries need to innovate. That's not the next one. I want to talk about dining bonds. Restaurants, instead of selling just pure gift cards, because they're not quite sure when they'll open again, there's a new website that's selling restaurant bonds. And like a U.S. savings bond, thank you for the heart, like a U.S. savings bond, what happens is that they're taking, you pay now, and you redeem it like a few months from now. That's kind of the way it's supposed to work. So you might buy it for $75 and then redeem it for $100, but in 3 months. Now, the downside is, what if they're not around in 3 months? So that is a gamble. But I'm going to go buy at least, I think, $100 gift card from my local Chinese restaurant because I love Chinese, and we'll use that up. And we'll find out what the deal is. My wife's concerned about eating food others have prepared, but I'm not worried about it. Not really. And I really like the Chinese restaurant, and we want to help them out. Okay, so there's another one called Help Main Street, and they have an interactive list of local businesses that are still selling gift cards. Not sure if that'll work in Heartland, Wisconsin, but the point is that people are coming up with some ideas on how to fund the small businesses in the crisis. I think that's excellent. Okay, and lastly, now here is a really interesting article. Really interesting. It says industries need to innovate to survive the coronavirus lockdown. And it goes back to, and it starts off talking about Corona and how they shove a lemon in the neck of the bottle. And probably that was developed in order to keep the flies out of the bottle for the at the beach. Nobody knows. But it gives the beach flavor. It also goes with, a lot of times they'll put a lemon in Weissbier in Germany. But there's sporting events has really been a mess. And yesterday I talked about the sim of the sim of the March Madness and how much I wish they would have been able to wire that up so that it actually played the game a little bit, so that you could have some of that anticipation and see who'd win. And there's no reason they can't. And that's what we want to talk about today. It turns out, and this is about these things getting canceled, it turns out that horse racing has gone through some terrible struggles. In 2001, there was a bout of foot and mouth. I think it was called hoof and mouth. It's called hoof and mouth. This is the UK, so maybe they call it foot and mouth disease, but hoof and mouth disease. And there was bad weather and foot and mouth disease in 2007, and the return, whatever that is, in 2013. I don't follow horse racing, but what they decided to do was exactly the same as the ESPN analytics department, except they had, and this is, wait for it, computer generated racehorses and horses used random number generators to define the outcome of races against virtual form cards and odds markets. All they did was take it to the next level, where you could watch the horse race, where the horse race results were related to the odds, but like the sim of the NCAA, they didn't limit it. They didn't run multiple iterations, but rather introduced a level of randomness that let it be interesting. And it's really just a question of tuning it to the sport. Now, one of the fun things, now here's the part I want to see. They're even doing it, they've even explored it in UFC fighting. Okay? So in some of these Sky Bet, there's a big industry in the UK of online betting. It's bigger there than here. And so it's called Whiteout Esports, and it's estimated to be a $13 billion per year global industry. And I'm not telling you what to do, but unlike canceled football, rugby, basketball, and golf events, viewers are guaranteed via the hugely popular streaming platform Twitch, which I'm on every day. In case you've never heard of Twitch. Twitch is where gamers can play and other people can watch. Now, one of the best things about this year's Super Bowl was they had Brett Favre and Joe Montana and who's the guy from New Orleans? I can never remember. Drew Brees. Never remember. Drew. Who names their kid Drew? Anyway, Drew Brees. Anyway, they had the three of them watching the Super Bowl, and it was just hilarious. And they were talking about, old stuff from the past. Now, what I want to know is, why can't we get Ioannis Akimbo or whatever? I can't say his name, but Ioannis the Greek and Michael Jordan. Heck, it isn't limited by age or actual play. We could get the best sports figures to play virtually with a camera, the headphones like they do on Twitch. I don't know who'd be the best, and it doesn't even matter. Just the talk would be fun. You could organize virtual teams, all-star teams. You could bring Brett Favre back. I bet those guys know how to play Madden 2020. And what about golf? Let's get Bubba Watson and some of the crazies, Phil Mickelson, and of course John Daly. Characters. Get the characters back on an ESPN or a Twitch where. And if you want to have online betting, boy, it could be something. It would be a lot more fun than sitting around. I downloaded Pinocchio from Kindle. It was free. I may actually take the time to read it, although I doubt it. So anyway, those businesses that bury their heads are likely to come unstuck, while those that roll with the punches, innovate, and make the best of a bad situation will come out on top. There's an old story about two hikers getting up from their tent, rolling up their sleeping bags, and they hear a bear growl. And the one hiker stops right away and puts on his tennis shoes. And the other hiker says, "You can't outrun a bear." And the one with the shoes on says, "I don't need to outrun the bear. I only need to outrun you." Okay, it's a competitive market right now. And most of us are sitting on our hands not thinking about how to deliver anything of value, period. We're worried about getting enough popcorn to pop to fill our bellies 6 weeks or 6 months from now. Take some time. You got time. Think about what you could deliver of value. Think about how you can use the resources you have. Thank you for the hearts. What can you do with what you have? You have more resources at your fingertips than they used to launch the astronauts to the moon. You have more resources at your fingertips than any human in history as far as your research capabilities. You have more broadcast capabilities than anyone has ever imagined. So don't just sit on the couch. Think about how to deliver value. The elbow's coming, but you could start a whole new industry. I'm John Miglash. Like and share. And if you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll be alerted when I come up with some crazy idea for tomorrow. Thank you for the red heart. Wow, exploding red heart. I don't even know what all this is.